Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for holding this bipartisan committee hearing today. And thank you also, Secretary Wright, for your testimony and for appearing before us this morning. It is long overdue. I want to ask you some questions about the Climate Working Group and its July 2025 report entitled A Critical Review of Impacts of Greenhouse Gas Emissions on the U.S. Climate. When did you or your staff first notify EPA that you had formed the Climate Working Group?
I raised this idea early on in the administration, sort of widely. So EPA would have known about it, and other potentially interested parties in it. To me, it's very important to have a real serious dialogue about climate change based on facts and data. And I'm very passionate about having that. I want to have public events and do much more on this. Unfortunately, environmental groups and so many others don't want to actually have that dialogue. So we've had crazy lawsuits, legal entanglements to a very professional report that if you haven't read it, I highly recommend reading it. And I'd love to sit and talk with you about it afterwards.
Thank you for that. And how did you balance EPA's desire to obtain the Climate Working Group report as quickly as possible with your own priorities as Secretary of Energy? And how did you ensure that both EPA and DOE understood that balance?
My thing is, for a scientific paper, I reached out to authors. We told them nothing about what to write. I exercised no editorial control whatsoever about it. But the goal was to get a dialogue going as quickly as possible. So in the publication process, you write a draft, you put your thoughts and organize your ideas down, and you release a draft, and then you open it up for comment. And then you have an iterative process before you issue a final report. A very open, very transparent dialogue around the facts around climate change. And actually, I would say it's been quite successful in that. Enormous amount of comments on that report, enormous amount of dialogue. But not in as public of a frame as I'd like.
In April 2025, did you personally discuss the deadline for the Climate Working Group's report with EPA Administrator Zeldin? And if so, did Administrator Zeldin tell you why he wanted the report to be transmitted to EPA?
I don't remember. It's certainly possible. My goal when I called the authors was, how quick can we do it? Of course, I wanted it as quick as possible. They wanted to make sure they had enough time. We struck a balance of what could get a credible, serious, relatively comprehensive report out there.
Let me ask you this. Were you aware that your staff was providing updates to EPA staff about the progress of the Climate Working Group? And did you designate a staff lead for coordinating it with EPA?
I don't know if coordinating with EPA, but we had a lead who was coordinating with the authors of the report and probably with any other interested parties. So yeah, would we have been open and communicating about that? I suspect we would have been, sure.
Let me just say, I want to tell you directly that the Trump administration's approach to policymaking has been a disaster for the people in my district, North Carolina's 4th. It was bad enough when Secretary Lutnick and the Commerce Department arbitrarily terminated a $285 million contract for the Smart USA Institute in Durham, even though Smart USA had met all of its performance targets, so that the money could be redirected to some kind of CHIPS slush fund. And I will say to you that my folks say to me that you don't pick up the phone when awards have been canceled. But it doesn't stop there. You have also failed miserably, Mr. Secretary, to protect my constituents from rising energy costs due to data centers. And because of this president's illegal war with Iran, gas is now, as we've heard continuously in this hearing, over $4 a gallon in my district. The White House announced its so-called ratepayer protection pledge with a whole lot of fanfare back in March. It sounded good, but guess what? Duke Energy is proposing to raise utility bills in North Carolina up to 18% over the next 2 years, and a lot of that is because of new data centers. 3 of the 4 counties in my district have passed data center moratoriums. But this is not just a local problem. It's a national problem. And you've dropped the ball when it comes to data centers. Why should the people of North Carolina's 4th District believe that this administration has a plan to protect them from data center energy costs when your first plan has failed so miserably? And with that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.